All right, so combinatorial activities. We're all familiar with listening to something in the background while you're doing something or multitasking. But I wanted to go over like what multitasking combos I think work well and what ones don't, which is something like I would want to see talked about more because it's like the facets of our modern life. Like everyone does this kind of stuff. What's the most optimal way to do it? And so I created like a chart of kind of comprehensively like what I think. It's lagging a little bit, but like what the different things you can mix and match. Like these are background things, and then these are like activities. There's probably a few more, but the spectrum of like human activity is really hard to reduce to categories unless you're like using some really general meta theory, and then you like lose a lot of the semantic power of it. So just thought I'd go over how I did this because this is a pretty monumental moment. So wow, OBS is like super laggy. I gotta upgrade this software or just like use FFmpeg and be more based. But you can see I can type in numbers and it'll color code and fill in exactly what I need in the chart. And then if I type in letters, nothing happens. But if I keep typing in numbers again, we should be good. And the way I did this is with this language called Typest. A lot of you probably know from me already, but if you're using LaTeX and you haven't switched to this bad boy, you absolutely gotta. Like, this is just, it's like 90 lines to get this interactive chart, and it resizes automatically. So if I were to add extra categories, you can see I've got like the measure function, which lets you measure the size of content. Haha, you thought this would be a philosophy video. I tricked you into watching Typest. But if I paste another category or two, you can see it'll auto resize. So I think this is just great for like little infographics and stuff. And then yeah, the way that I have like just typing numbers, filling things in is this little extractor function that I borrowed from this guy who made a Tetris game in Typest. And this is like just what happened. Why did my window just resize freakishly? Is some app about to open? You're keeping me in suspense here. Okay, nothing's happening. But yeah, this little function is absolutely gnarly. It extracts everything, and then all we do is go through and parse, and if we don't see one of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we just throw it out. And then up here, I just have a basic little function called cell that color codes pretty easily, and that's about it, and then styles it a little bit. And then I have the 2 category axes here, and that's all there is to it. Okay, back to the relevant life advice for people who don't give a fuck about typesetting language, which is reasonable. Okay, so let's go through these one by one, and I'll talk about my experience. So exercise in silence, gotta be like a 4. It's like if you're running, it's very meditative, or lifting, and you just want to like, I don't know, you're just like unwinding the mind. It's like an easy activity. I think running in silence should be done a lot more than it is. But I'll get to like the different, I'll kind of contrast it as I get to the other options, you know, like music and audiobook, and why I think running in silence is good. Deep work in silence is got to be a 5. You can't beat out music. Light work in silence though, and I would consider light work like kind of, for me, it's like photo, video, visual, like drawing or editing, which I know I hate when like people are like, oh yeah, my editing workflow. Like, bro, the average person does not edit. You're not relatable at all. But I barely edit, so I'm still kind of relatable, I guess. But like, if you're making thumbnails in Figma, or you're drawing something, or doing graphic design, or playing music maybe, I would give this a 4 for silence, because it's like, you can get away with listening to a podcast in the background and designing a thumbnail, in my opinion. I'm moving way towards like not multitasking these days, but yeah, it is what it is. All right, chores in silence, gotta be like it kind of depends on the chore, and again, I don't love doing this categorization of things because you lose a lot of meaning. But if you're doing a chore, you gotta have something in the background, because like if it's washing the dishes, like you can't just wash the dishes. I mean, sometimes I do when I'm really trying to be meditative, but I don't know. Unless I've had like a seriously productive day and I just want to unwind and not really use my brain at all, like if the chore is boring, especially if the chore involves walking, like grocery shopping, then absolutely. And then commute is an interesting one, actually. So I would, again, like, this isn't bad at all. Like, if you just want to meditate while you're sitting on a train, great thing to do. Like, it's hard to even objectively attach, like, values of things to this, but as far as times to listen to audiobooks go, the commute, or just, like, yeah, while you're traveling, is a great one. While you're on an airplane or a train, is like, because I kind of like to dedicate my full attention to audiobooks these days. And yeah, let's move right along, actually, because this video will get long. Eating in silence, pretty good, pretty meditative, probably a 4. Cooking in silence, 5. Cooking, if you're doing something kind of advanced, can get very meditative with all the smells and like processes and chopping things and moving things around. More enjoyable than eating in silence. Also, eating in silence, like if I'm listening to something, my jaw will work my AirPod out of my ear while I'm eating. Absolutely unacceptable. Sleep in silence, also a 5, obviously. All right, next row. Socializing and exercise, 5, easily. Socializing, I love to combine with exercise. The reason I call this video combinatorial activities is because there are certain activities I think go together perfectly and save time when you combine them. And combining socializing and exercise is the most brilliant combination you can get, because it makes exercise more enjoyable if you're like running with a group of people and you're meeting people that have like a similar interest in long-term progress to you, which is just phenomenal. Like, I've been on many sports teams, and the type of person that does like cardio sports for me, which is like Nordic skiing and rowing, and I did some cross country and a little bit of pole vault. Like, the type of people that do that are just like great people. And now I've found, honestly, like, rather than enjoying people my age, I've found a group of people at my local gym who at 6 a.m. it's this old lady and a few middle-aged people who go to the sauna, and dude, that's like the Roman bathhouse. Like, you hear the gossip of the town. I love these old people, and they're all like health conscious and they've read hella books. It's like the best crowd to hang out with. Deep work and socializing, 1, obviously. Don't fucking do that. When I see people in the library doing that, it's like, okay, you're here to clearly meet a mate. You're not here to get work done. Plus your like PowerPoint that's like 3 slides about horticulture in Nicaragua is like, how is that a real major that you're taking? No offense. Light work and socializing, also a 1. Actually, I could probably work on a thumbnail and talk to someone. I don't know. Chores and socializing, 3. I do that all the time with my roommate. Commute and socializing, 4 or 5. Well, yeah, 5. Like, what else are you gonna do? Talk to people in your commute. Eating and socializing, 5. Obviously, that's a very human activity to do. Cooking and socializing, 5. You're just like hanging out with your parents or whatever while you're cooking, or whoever else. Cooking something with someone is very fun. Sleep and socializing, 1. What the fuck? That's just a non-bo. Some of this logically won't work out. Music and exercise. So this is an interesting one that I'm passionate about, I guess. I'm not really passionate about much. That's not true. I'm passionate about a lot of things, but this specific, like, whatever. I'm trying to make some weird meta joke there that is not going to land. But exercise and music. So I love a good, like, I'm going to say 4. Like, hype, listening to hype music while exercising. But recently, with all my, like, introspective activities and, like, thinking about how my mood is changing over time and stuff, I realized what a lot of people do, and what I did, is like, you go for a run, you put on some hype music, and then you're like, get really excited about not just your run, but you're like imagining yourself doing certain things. At least I do that. Some people like don't. I think they have a better handle on it, but it's kind of like daydreaming about potential things you could do and like things that could happen to you. You do that when you're like listening to really hype music. Sometimes it's kind of like imagining you're in like an edit or music video, and that it's thrilling. It's very fun. It's a great activity to partake in, but I've noticed like it does mess with my expectations of reality, and it's not always like it, and it does so in a very subtle way, and it's very easy to think like, no, I'll just imagine like I'm succeeding in all these ways, and like it's not really that bad of a thing to do. And I swing between thinking, yeah, it's a completely fine activity to indulge in, and like, no, it actually does mess with you in pretty subtle ways. So, well, I'm gonna give it a 3 actually, because it is very fun to like run and listen to Pop Smoke or something, or Infected Mushroom, or my friend Reams just gave me a new album. I'll drop it in the description. I think it's pretty good. Listen to that a few times. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's just nice to wander around your imagination, actually. So I'm gonna give this a 4. I kind of like it. Deep work and music. Honestly, this used to be very high for me, but I'm putting it down to a 3. You have to find the right music, and there's music I've listened to so many times, so many hundreds of times, it's like I can literally put this album on and not hear it. And there's this one album, if you want an album like that, I just uninstalled Spotify recently, but there's an album called Orphan Loops, by this French electro duo called Urs Samplus. It looks like this. These guys just have the most like amazing, I don't know, atmospheric branding. Like what even is this? Like a reflective deer bear thing? That's so sick. That album I've listened to so many times. I love every song on it, but I can literally start it and then completely miss every song on it because I've heard it so many times. And if you've got music like that that's just kind of burnt into your brain, that's fine to listen to if you want to cancel out ambient noise. But honestly, for real focus now, like music, I disagree. I can't listen to music and do real focused work. It's got to be basically in silence. Let's see. So that's going to be like a 2. But shallow work, yeah. It's fun to listen to music. Well, let's say music and chores, yeah, I would say is also a great combination. Music and commute. When I'm on a commute and it's like a long, slow thing, I'm like, I could be getting more information than I am from just the enjoyment of music. Like, I feel like music is, in our culture, largely over-listened to. Like, people spend far too much time replaying the same, like, songs for the same hit of dopamine. Like, you can see in Spotify streaming numbers, like, melodically interesting songs vastly outweigh, like just listen throughs of like ambient albums, which like it used to be you'd listen to whole albums and stuff. I think our music industry is getting a little bit like it's getting, what's the word, like radicalized, I guess, into just like it's the same phenomenon everywhere with people just like trying to milk the dopamine out of it. So spamming music wherever you go I don't think is good. You should honestly limit it to a certain amount per day. When I see people walking around with like AirPod in constantly, I think that eats away at your attention very subtly. Eating and music, same thing. Like, just, I don't know, like, the food is enough for me. That's enough stimulation at once. Cooking and music, that's a solid thing. Throw on a record or something in the background. I'll give that a 4, actually. Sleep and music, no. Nothing with sleep. Yeah, don't sleep and do anything. I've tried to like fall asleep to music. It always makes the sleep worse. So just get rid of your phone immediately. Podcasts and YouTube. So this is interesting. I actually really enjoy podcasts for exercise because they don't require, unlike an audiobook or like a lecture, like you can kind of zone in and out. And that's very important. YouTube kind of depends. Podcasts and YouTube are also like, there are so many different types of things. Like for instance, the podcast Philosophize This is like really an excellent one for kind of learning in the background. It's like pretty funny, dry humor, overview of big philosophical concepts, and you can zone in and out. But then you have like completely other things on YouTube, you know, like my lecture here is like a completely different thing than some other more scientific channel somewhere else where you actually have to sit down and pay attention. But yeah, I like having a podcast. Like the medium of podcast and YouTube, I just kind of meant to mean like stuff that's less serious than something you have to continually pay attention to. It's kind of like you're just having like someone to hang out with in the background, virtually. Deep work, yeah, obviously that's not happening. Light work is actually, yeah, this is a good thing for light work. I do like a podcast in the background when I'm like drawing or something, or listening to an audiobook and drawing is an excellent pastime. And yeah, it's also great for chores. Great for commute. Well, I would say it's great for commute. Eating, I don't really like Like, again, my AirPod will fall out because of my jaw. Cooking, depends on what you're cooking, but I kind of like to cook in silence. But yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's like great for washing dishes. Sleep, again, a 1. And then an audiobook. So audiobooks, like, I used to just spam these 24/7, and I would consider there's like narrative fiction audiobooks and then like self-help how-to scientific audiobooks. In that second category, you really have to pay more attention to, or else they're essentially useless, and it took me a long time to accept that. But now what I do is when I'm listening to something, like I'm currently listening to this book on emotional intelligence, you have to every little while like pause and think about what they're saying. I was also listening to Nassim Taleb's books, who you should totally check out if you haven't. He's like, once you read Nassim Taleb's like canon, the Inserto series, you'll be like, oh my god, everyone in like all the YouTube videos I've ever watched was referencing Nassim Taleb. He's kind of a prolific thinker in our day and age, and his books, like, you really have to pause and be like, and think about like, is this true? Do I believe this? Does this fit into my worldview? And same thing for all those self-help books. You can't passively consume them. Your brain will purge it. It like feels very noble in the moment to be listening to, but then it gets like just erased. But yeah, like if you take the time to like think about it hard, then it'll go in. And for that reason, I'm going to give it like a 2 on exercise, because a lot of the time on exercise, I like my mind just kind of wandering around. And it's nice to have a podcast because it's like when I get bored of wandering around, I can pay attention to that. But on an audiobook, it's like I kind of have to pay attention after a long day of hard work. I don't want to force my brain to do something. I definitely still do this to a certain extent, like lifting and listening to an audiobook. I did that today, actually. But definitely there are times where like, fuck, I zoned out. I'm basically not getting anything out of this. And I know this book has good content in it. I don't want to waste it. Deep work, 1, obviously. Deep work is kind of getting a shitty reputation. Light work. Light work is solid, but again, like, you need to kind of, I don't know. Like, I guess if I'm drawing, an audiobook is good, so I'll give it a 4. Chores, probably 3. Honestly, commute is 5, though. You want to just be sitting there, like, thinking about the audiobook. And honestly, now, sometimes I have a notes app up to kind of cross-reference things or Google things when I'm listening to an audiobook. Because it's like, you are reading. You shouldn't think of it as listening to an audiobook. That's a trap to easily fall into. And I did for a long time. What you're doing is you're reading. And like when you're reading, you wouldn't be like, oh, I'm reading. Okay, I'm going to draw a little bit. I'm reading. I'm drawing. Well, that's a bad example because I literally do that. But, yeah, I don't know. Let's see if I have any example. Like, I'll just kind of draw like random little machine things and listen to an audiobook at some points during the day if I'm tired of doing math. And it's just like a nice brain unwinding activity. Eating an audiobook, maybe if you're eating like a very thin soup or something, it would be okay. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of eating and doing stuff, as I've said. Cooking an audiobook, yeah, not really. Because if you're cooking anything serious, like, I don't know, it's hard for my brain to keep track of 2 things. I don't like multitasking, especially. Sleep an audiobook, that'll give a 2, because I've done that occasionally. Like, it's not... If you have trouble sleeping and you have a narrative audiobook, that actually is kind of nice sometimes to just like be read to until you sleep. I do like that. Radio. So radio I put on here because honestly I uninstalled Spotify recently because I don't like the algorithmic curation of music anymore. I think like music as it was consumed 30 years ago was kind of ideal, where you'd have like, you buy CDs or records, and now like I don't like it as much that we're just like, we have access to all of like Kesha's backlog and you can just pull up the most melodically addicting pop songs engineered to take your attention. Like I did that so much. I spammed so many songs over the years, and like I just started to realize I don't enjoy this. Like, I'm listening to this for the dopamine hit, and it's like, it's not... Music has lost its luster because of how available it is. And the radio, I think, is good for kind of restoring that magic because like you're out of control. I hate ads though. Absolutely despise ads. I will not be advertised to. So the general public radio is bad, but there are other sources of radio, and I think people should kind of start their own internet radio stations again, where you just like how sick would it be to have like a radio station where you just like play the type of I don't know, the type of music you like, and then instead of like ads, you just have like random segments where you like recommend other stuff you like and whatnot. Like imagine you're like listening to imagine I start a radio station and it's got like obscure French music you've never heard, and then you get an ad for Types, you know, like that would be the vibe. But like general American radio, yeah. Also like the BBC, the British Broadcasting Service, they have a radio app called BBC Sounds that has a lot of good podcasts on it. And I guess I should start filling this stuff out. But yeah, those podcasts on that app and their music is pretty good. Especially like, I don't know, they have like a lot of just British people talking about life, and I think it's cool to hear like perspective from another culture. I learned a lot from the BBC. Jokes just write themselves. Okay, exercising radio. So I have no experience with radio, honestly, but I'll extrapolate what this would be. I'd say this would be a 4 because like it's nice to have some unpredictability. Okay, why are you lagging? OBS seriously has a memory leak or something. All right, well, I guess the dev server for this crashed, but you'll have to extrapolate the rest of this. I wonder if I could send out like a copy of this or make this repository public and then have other people submit pictures of it or something somewhere, because it would be cool to see what other people's views are on what multitasking is effective. Yeah, I'll make a GitHub repository and throw this in the description along with anything else I recommended during this. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this little weird video.